Have you ever wondered why wealth seems to flow effortlessly to some people while others struggle despite working hard? Is it fate, luck, or something deeper? Imagine there's a secret, an ancient technique taught thousands of years ago that could unlock abundance, not just money, but true wealth in all aspects of life. Tonight, I'll tell you a powerful tale of enlightenment, struggle, and transformation. A story that reveals this technique, hidden in a timeless Buddha tale. Stay with me till the end, because this story has the power to change your life. Once, in a bustling village nestled at the base of the Himalayas, lived a man named Samudra. He was a merchant by trade, but no matter how hard he worked, he always remained poor. His neighbors prospered, their homes filled with laughter and riches, while Samudra struggled to put food on the table. Samudra had a heart full of kindness. He shared what little he had, helping neighbors and feeding stray animals. Yet the more he gave, the emptier his life seemed. Frustrated and desperate, he began to wonder if his generosity was a curse. One day, as he sat by the village square, watching the market buzz with life, he overheard a traveler speaking about a wise monk who lived in a distant monastery. "They say the monk has the secret to attracting wealth," the traveler said. Samudra's heart raced. Perhaps this monk held the answers he had been seeking all his life. Without hesitation, he sold his last few possessions to fund his journey. Samudra's journey was long and treacherous. He crossed raging rivers, climbed steep hills, and braved wild forests. Along the way, he met people who offered him advice. An old farmer told him, "Wealth isn't in the monk's teaching, it's in the soil. If you work hard, the earth will reward you." A fisherman said, "True riches are in the sea. Cast your net wide and you'll never go hungry." But none of this resonated with Samudra. He felt there was something more, something deeper. After weeks of travel, he arrived at the monastery, a serene haven perched atop a mountain. The sound of chanting filled the air, and the scent of incense wafted gently. Samudra found the monk sitting under a sprawling banyan tree. The monk's eyes were closed, his face serene, as if he held the wisdom of the universe in his stillness. "Wise master," Samudra began, bowing deeply, "I have traveled far to seek your guidance. I am poor, and I do not understand why. Please, teach me how to attract wealth." The monk opened his eyes and smiled. "Ah, wealth. It is a treasure sought by many, yet few truly understand its nature." "Master," Samudra pleaded, "I've given, I've worked, I've prayed, and still I remain in poverty. What must I do?" The monk gestured for Samudra to sit. "Before I can teach you the technique, you must first understand what wealth truly is. Come, let us take a walk." The monk led Samudra to a nearby stream. The water sparkled under the sunlight, its flow steady and calm. "What do you see?" the monk asked. "A stream," Samudra replied. "It flows endlessly, carrying water to the fields and villages." The monk handed Samudra a jar and said, "Fill this jar with water from the stream." Samudra did as he was told, but as soon as the jar was full, the monk tipped it over, spilling the water back into the stream. "Why did you do that?" Samudra asked, confused. "Fill it again," the monk instructed. This time Samudra hesitated. "What's the point if you're just going to spill it again?" The monk smiled. "And yet, is this not what you do in your life? You gather wealth, but your desires are like a jar with no bottom. The more you seek to fill it, the more it spills." Samudra realized he had been chasing wealth without understanding its purpose. That evening, the monk began to teach Samudra the ancient technique, the law of flow. "Wealth," the monk explained, "is like water. It must flow freely, or it becomes stagnant. The more you try to hoard it, the less it serves you. But when you let it flow, to others, to the world, it returns to you tenfold." The monk then taught Samudra a mantra: "Give without expectation, receive with gratitude, share with joy." He instructed Samudra to practice this daily, not just in thought, but in action. To test Samudra's understanding, the monk sent him to a wealthy merchant in a nearby city. The merchant was known for his riches, but also for his misery. Samudra observed the merchant's life. Despite his wealth, the man was constantly stressed, fearing thieves, competition, and loss. His riches were like a chain, binding him in golden shackles. Samudra remembered the monk's words. Wealth must flow. He offered to help the merchant organize a feast for the poor, using a portion of his wealth. At first the merchant refused, but after much persuasion he agreed. As the feast was prepared, something remarkable happened. The merchant's fear began to melt away, replaced by a sense of joy and connection. By the end of the feast, the merchant told Samudra, "I never knew my wealth could bring me such happiness." Samudra returned to the monastery, his heart full of new understanding. He no longer saw wealth as something to chase or hoard. Instead, he saw it as a tool, a way to bring joy and connection to others. The monk smiled as Samudra shared his experiences. "You have learned the essence of wealth," he said. "Now, let it flow through you." Years passed, and Samudra became known as a wise and prosperous man. His success was not measured by gold alone, but by the lives he touched and the joy he spread. He built schools, fed the hungry, and helped his village thrive. And yet, he always remembered the monk's words. True wealth is not in what you have, but in what you give. One day, as he sat by the same stream where his journey had begun, Samudra closed his eyes and whispered the mantra, "Give without expectation, receive with gratitude, share with joy." The water flowed, the sun shone, and Samudra felt an unshakable peace. And now, dear listener, the question turns to you. What is your relationship with wealth? Is it something you chase, or is it something you let flow? Imagine your life as a stream. The more freely it flows, the more abundance it can bring, to you and to others. Try this technique. Give something today without expecting anything in return. Receive the gifts of life with gratitude. And share your joy and resources, letting wealth flow freely. You might just find that by giving, you open the doors to receiving more than you ever imagined. Wealth is not what you hold, it's what you let flow.